Council meetings are long and boring. Wouldn't it be great if they were short and unboring? This is why I've invented the 5-minute meeting. Okay, Ashland City Council meeting of May 19th starts off. This guy says, hey, the county virus numbers look good. And then the city administrator's report came and said something about pausing some downtown project. And then this guy jumped back in and said, I know some business people are getting some money in some ways from some places. And then special presentations. The police chief's use of force report. 2019, force was used 31 times, tasered twice. 7 officers were injured, never serious. 32,000 calls to the cops. Violent type 1 crimes are way down to 500 something a year. And the downtown special area had 8 people banned for repeated offenses. And the city has never used that jailed for not giving your name ordinance, not once. And with the pandemic this year, things are activities way down in general down there in the plaza. And then the third quarter financial report. The insurance fund shortfall is being tracked in a project number. FYI, so this says, we have negative 327,000 right now. Is that all COVID related? And the city lady said, 145,000 is COVID, and the rest is kind of mixed. COVID, not COVID. And then this guy goes, hey, I like what this one was saying earlier about we don't know what percentage that's going to get reimbursed by the feds, so we should just keep that in mind, right? Just because it's COVID doesn't mean we get it back. And then the state of emergency extension. This guy goes, hey, is there anything you can't do if we don't extend this thing, city guy? And he said, no, not really. And then this guy goes, hey, are we maybe going to have a regular council meeting in person again pretty soon? And the city guy said, after phase 2 at the earliest. And then this one said, hey, isn't this just about being eligible for reimbursement from the state and the feds? And the city guy said, yeah, that's part of it. And then the city attorney said something like, we should be afraid of being sued at all times and do next to nothing. How's the gist of that? And then they moved to extend the emergency state of emergency for 2 more weeks. All approved. And then consent agenda. That was all approved. And then the public hearing. They amended the downtown ordinance to let big buildings downtown not have to have extra public spaces when they build, like that sitting area next to Pony Espresso. That's in the present ordinance. And if this thing goes through, then they could have just built more building there. So the ordinance says, well, just let the builders decide what they want to do. I'm sure they'll do the right thing. And then this one goes, I think we might be losing our ability to control the charm downtown. And it didn't pass 5-1. There's our one. And then fire drone infrared camera review. The city started a drone last year looking for campfires in the watershed. And a fire guy said, homeless camps and wildfire are huge problems. They're probably going to happen any second. And then these flights are looking for heat and use super early in the morning, and they had one suspected fire response to it last year, and it turned out to be a false alarm. But it cost $6,000 a year, and then this guy goes, hey, isn't it is that 7,200 our max? And then the fire guy said, I think it's 13,000, something like that. And then they flew 22 days, and there were 8 incidents of finding campers, followed up by the police. And then this one says, I have a migraine, so I'm going to stop talking now. And then this one says, wasn't education supposed to be a big part of the plan? And then the fire guy goes, yeah. That's we're 90% ready to add a new educational component. And the police chief jumped in and said, by the way, we usually educate and don't give tickets when we rouse those campers. So that's educational. And then this one says, he goes, hey, if this were mostly for fire, that's one thing. But it looks like we're mostly just trying to hunt down homeless campers. And are we doing this again next year? 5-1 says, yes, we are. And then the cost review ad hoc committee. This guy was in charge of it in some way. And he says, hey, we are 7 things I had ideas on. 1, review city employee pay. The ad hoc committee recommends we should save some money in that way. And then number 2, their ambulance service. The ad hoc committee recommends council should do something about that. And then 3 and 4 had to do with the fire department, and the ad hoc committee recommends council should decide on something here, say how many paramedics and how many trucks go out per call. And number 5 is staff streamlining. Ad hoc committee recommends that the staff cut their own costs or a council cut it for them. And then number 6, outsourcing services. Ad hoc committee recommends looking at payroll and comm dev. whatever. And then 7, review essential versus value-added services. And so those are the things they all looked at. And then that study ended in February before COVID. So then, he said, he goes, so of course all these ideas need to be heightened because there's less money now than we had then. And then he says, like, when departments talk about morale being hurt because we are always discussing some job cuts possibly, I say, suck it up. Everybody in the country has to deal with these issues right now. Nay, the world. Pretty good point. And then council all approved receiving the report. That was the vote. And then this one says, hey, I move to add council, add ideas to that report over the next 2 weeks, if possible. And they all approved that. And then the second reading of an amendment where councilors need a second person to agree with them before they can put their item on an agenda. That was all agreed. And then the mayor started blabbering like incoherently. No one knew what he was talking about. And then literally Zoom kicked him out of the meeting. He just disappeared. And so this guy takes over and then says, I guess, okay, that's the end of that. And he said the city proposes, there's a city proposal to change the tourism money ordinance so that all the money, extra money, goes to tourism and not cultural issues like it used to be, tourism and culture. Now it's just tourism. And then this one says, my migraine's killing me, I'm out. And so then she's gone now. And then this one said, she goes, hey, tourism means people from all over 50 miles away that spend the night or something, right? That's the deal on that, right? And the city guy goes, yeah. She goes, and so and then that's the governor of the state says he doesn't want people doing that. So that's a problem, right? We should look at that. We should not just throw money at tourism without knowing that. And these two go, we got to do something. I say we just do this. Let's do this. It's something. Let's do it. And then approve. All approved. 4-1 again, of course. And then the ordinance to take future parking money. That's a big pot of money, and use it in this new tourism thing they just voted yes on. And that's $470,000. And but I think maybe only $80,000 goes into this to refill the money lost by the hotel and restaurant tax money. And they all approved it. And he did come back at the end and then said, end of meeting, you're welcome.